still doesn't mean I actually can tell when it's recording. Hi guys, this is Connie. I left my phone upstairs and it's snowing outside, and without further ado, Connie reads Max the Mighty. This is chapter 15, Dip Makes a Promise. That night, we're sitting around under the stars with our stomachs full. Worm has put away her book for once, and she's sitting there with her chin on her knees, staring at the little campfire Dip built. Every now and then she glances over at me like she wants to say something important, but she never does. I figure whatever it is can wait. Frank and Joni have wandered off somewhere, and it's just the three of us, and I'm thinking how much I want this to go on forever. Sailing that old prairie schooner across America, and camping by the side of the road every night, and eating hamburgers cooked on an open fire, and feeling like we're in a place of our own. I'm thinking how my buddy Kevin would have loved this adventure, and I wish he was here, and Grim and Graham too, but even that doesn't hurt too much. I'm feeling so good. As long as we're on the bus, the only thing that matters is where we go tomorrow. Yesterday doesn't count, or the day before that. The only thing that matters is me and Worm are safe. I'm thinking how lucky we are right at this moment, and how no matter what happens next, I wouldn't trade this night for anything. Dip. He's staring up at the sky for a long time, and then he goes, "Guess what I see up there?" Worm won't guess, but you can tell she's listening. "I see a girl about your age," he says to her. "See that glow from the Milky Way? That's her hair. Those other stars are her sword and shield. She's fighting a battle, a really important battle. Life and death, I'll bet." Worm looks up at the sky to where he's pointing. "What happens to her?" she asks. What happens to her?" she asks. Haven't read these before. "I'm not sure exactly," Dip says, "but in the end she wins because her heart is true. That much I know." Me, all I see is a bunch of stars, but I don't mind. If Worm can see her dreams come true in the sky, that's good enough. And it makes me think how cool an old dude like Dip really is, to figure it out and show her where to look. When Worm starts nodding off, Dip says it's time to turn in. "We have a long day tomorrow," he says. "I'll expect we'll see Wyoming before the sun goes down. We'll check out the Bighorn Mountains and Yellowstone. Maybe go fishing on the Wind River. If we can find some bait. Sound okay with you?" It all sounds cool to me. Worm is sound asleep with her backpack on, and when I pick her up to carry her inside the prairie schooner, she is light as a feather, like gravity doesn't count when you're not awake. That's when Dip goes, "Oh my." The way he says it makes the short hairs tingle on the back of my neck. Something is wrong. I can feel it all over. "Somebody let the air out of the tires," Dip says. "Now why would they do that?" He's crouched down in the dark, staring at how the prairie schooner is sitting low on her rims. I've got Worm asleep in my arms, and I don't know what to do. Flat tires are no big deal to fix, but like Dip says, why would somebody do that? I get this terrible, empty feeling, like they just let the air out of me, too. Dip gets up and says, "Wait here," and he goes into the bus and turns on the lights. I can see him in there checking things out, and then he picks up Frank's newspaper. You can tell something has got his attention. His big friendly face kind of shuts up, and I don't know what he's thinking, but whatever he's reading in the paper has made him different. Then he looks through the bus window out to where I'm standing in the dark, and suddenly I know what's in the newspaper. Dip comes out real slow, and when his feet are on the ground, he looks at how Worm is sound asleep in my arms, and he goes, "You've got $10,000 on your head, Max. That's the reward for information leading to your apprehension and for the recovery of the girl." He stops and gives out a big sigh, and when he speaks again, his voice sounds small and old. "I knew you were in trouble. I didn't know it was trouble that big or bad." I don't know what to say. It's like my feet are sinking into the ground and the sky is pressing me down and the air feels thick and scratchy in my lungs. I read what that stepfather had to say," he says, tapping the newspaper. "You better tell me what really happened." "I can't," I say, whispering. Not with her right here. She can't think about it right now, even when she's asleep. Dip stares at me a long time, and then he nods to himself and says, Well, I guess I gotta trust my instincts on this. I'm not going to turn you in, son, but somebody else might. That's when the flashing blue lights come gliding into the campground. It's my fault, Dip says when he sees those lights. I never should have let that con man on my bus. My feet finally come loose, and I turn to see the police car coming around the curve of the campsites. As it passes under a streetlight, there's Joni in the back seat and Frank in the front. He's showing the cop which way to go. I don't know what you're going to do, Dip is saying, but you better do it fast. Then he shoves some money in my shirt pocket, pats Worm on the head and goes, Trust yourself, Max. I'll see you again someday. That's a promise. The next thing I know, I'm running off into the night with a girl in my arms, away from the prairie schooner and the cop car and the campground. I don't know where I'm running or why exactly. All I know is this. Worm is still asleep and she's not ready to wake up yet. My brain has stopped thinking. The only thing inside my head is run, boy, run! And that's the end of chapter 15. Yeah, had to look at it again. Be careful with that and enjoy, please and thank you, and I'll see you for the next chapter. Bye.